A Muslim girl denies God and evil, but when she buries herself in a coffin with a corpse, she regrets it forever. Stay tuned. The story begins with a modest family, a loving couple, and their 2 children, Sita and Adil. They run a small bakery in the city, but their business is struggling due to the rise of modern cafes and restaurants in the area. Times are tough financially, yet the family finds strength in their bond and love for each other. One day, their uncle proposes sending Adil and Sita to a free boarding school in a remote village. However, their father refuses. Despite the hardships, he believes their family's togetherness is more important than anything. Soon, something eerie begins. One afternoon, a strange customer enters the bakery. He behaves oddly, and hands Adil a cassette tape, warning him not to go outside because danger is near. Before anyone can question him further, the man walks away and heads toward the crowd gathered near the new cafe. At the same time, 2 other customers distract the shop owners by faking a fight. The third customer tries to steal money from the cash counter, but Sita notices and alerts Adil and their parents. As the thief is thrown out of the shop, a sudden explosion occurs outside. The blast kills Sita and Adil's parents on the spot. We're next taken to a police station. From the news broadcast playing on the radio, it's revealed that the bomber was the same man who gave the tape to Adil. The police interrogate Adil, but Sita stops him from revealing anything about the tape. Back home, Adil asks Sita what she plans to do with it. She says she wants to know what's inside. Sita plays the tape. A horrifying scream fills the room, the sound of someone being tortured. A chilling voice follows, asking in a haunting tone, "Man Rabo Ka?" which means, "Who is your God?" The scene shifts. We now see Sita, older, attending the very same boarding school her uncle once mentioned. One of her teachers, Ustad Jah, tells the students about the concept of grave torture, a punishment that occurs in the grave before Judgment Day. He explains that angels descend to question the soul, and if one cannot answer correctly due to a lack of faith, they are tormented in the grave itself. Sita listens silently. It's clear her faith has been shaken. She questions the teacher, asking why torture in the grave is even necessary if sinners are already destined for hell. She believes these stories are just religious scare tactics. Ustad Jah insists that it's written in the holy book and must be believed. But Sita pushes back, saying even people who fear God can become destroyers. Her blunt challenge leaves the teacher speechless. Later, we see Sita running through a dense forest. She meets Adil, who helps her plan an escape from the village. They discuss 2 possible routes, the guarded main gate, and a mysterious tunnel the villagers claim is haunted. Adil warns her that no one who's entered the tunnel has ever returned. But Sita is determined. She wants to find the grave mentioned in the bomber's tape and prove that grave torture is nothing but superstition, the very superstition that led to their parents' deaths. Adil hesitates but follows her into the tunnel. Inside, their flashlight dies. They move forward in complete darkness. Suddenly, Sita realizes Adil is no longer with her. She begins calling for him, and then her foot bumps into something. A child. The child, in a ghostly voice, introduces himself as Smile. Terrified, Sita flees the tunnel and finds Adil with villagers and teachers waiting outside. In the next scene, a teacher named Miss Umaya drapes a red headscarf over Sita's head as punishment. She tells Sita that God is testing her through pain, and that suffering is part of repentance. Seeing Sita cry, Miss Umaya momentarily removes the scarf. Sita then asks about Smile. Miss Umaya becomes visibly uncomfortable and avoids the question. Ustad Jah soon arrives and puts the scarf back on her, saying rules are for everyone, and punishment teaches discipline. We then meet Mr. Illa, the school's funder. He's introduced as a benefactor, someone who pays for all the students' education. Later, Sita sees Ustad Jah and Miss Umaya talking privately. Their conversation reveals a dark truth. Mr. Ill has been abusing children at the school, and Smile was one of his victims. Sita learns that Illich was the one who harmed Smile, and now he's called Adil to his room. Sita rushes to Illi's room and sees Adil inside. She tries to reach him but the guards block her. She offers them money but they lock her in a storage room. Sita escapes through a window and runs to Miss Umaya, who helps her rescue Adil. Together they flee through the tunnel. During their escape, Adil breaks down and apologizes to Sita, saying she's had to protect him despite him being the elder sibling. She comforts him and urges him to keep moving. But suddenly Sita feels Adil's hand growing cold. She turns, and finds its smile holding her hand, crying for help. She runs again and eventually finds the real Adil. They escape through the tunnel's exit. The story jumps forward. Sita now works as a nurse at a nursing home, and Adil washes and buries the dead. An old man, Mr. Gan, dies in the home, and Sita prepares his body for burial. An elderly woman named Mrs. Juvita claims she can see Mr. Gan's spirit, and says he wants her to sing him a song. Sita continues her duties and meets other residents like Mrs. Nani and Mr. Pandi, a married couple. She's also asked to care for Mr. Vahu, a wealthy man whose children want to take him home, but who refuses to leave. Sita lies to Mr. Vahu's children, and says he'll come with them. After they leave, she scolds Mr. Vahu for putting her in that position. He cries and behaves like a child, revealing he has a degenerative illness. That night, Sita reviews footage from his room on her laptop. We then see Adil and Sita burying Mr. Gan. Adil asks if this is the man she's been looking for. Sita says no. This man lived a respectful life. It becomes clear she's been searching for someone else's grave for a long time. They discuss the myth of grave torture. Adil argues that punishment happens only to the soul, not the body. But Sita says religious books claim otherwise. She wants to prove it's all superstition by recording what happens inside a grave. The grave she's obsessed with belonged to a murderer, the same man the bomber claimed he recorded screams from. Sita continues her work at the nursing home while still secretly investigating the idea of grave torture. In the laundry room, she watches news coverage about the grave of the convicted murderer, the same grave linked to the bomber's tape. The news confirms that the killer had claimed to record screams and torture sounds coming from that very spot. Sita breaks down, remembering her parents' death. That trauma still haunts her. Exhausted, she falls asleep in the laundry room, only to be jolted awake by machines turning on by themselves. This eerie event seems to mark the beginning of strange happenings. Meanwhile, Adil is thrown out of his house by his wife, who wants a divorce. She accuses him of being emotionally absent and too obsessed with the dead. Later, Sita hears a familiar tune echoing through the nursing home. She follows it to Mr. Vahu's room, and finds him crying while watching an old video. When she asks what's wrong, he quickly hides his phone. Their conversation takes a dark turn as he asks Sita what religion she believes in. Sita calmly says that morality and science guide her choices, not religion. Mr. Vahu coldly responds that his belief system doesn't stop him from doing terrible things, and that's why he feels no guilt. He reveals that even though his actions may seem wrong to others, he has helped many. Sita directly challenges him. She brings up the boarding school and accuses him of funding it while abusing the children there. That's when the truth lands like a bomb. Mr. Vahu is actually ill, the man responsible for Smile's death and for traumatizing both Sita and Adil. Vahu is stunned. Sita questions if he feels any guilt, and when he responds smugly, she asks why he changed his name and ran away from his past. As the tension peaks, Sita sees Adil standing outside the door, having overheard everything. Adil breaks down and attacks Mr. Vahu in rage, but Sita stops him. People gather, and Vahu, still unapologetic, says he couldn't give them a good life. Sita snaps, their life is just fine, because they have one goal: to prove what happens to sinners like him after death. Vahu laughs and says the worst punishment in the afterlife depends on your own fears. He admits his biggest fear is losing his sense of self, a punishment he's already facing through his disease. Then, shockingly, he offers to help them. Right before their eyes, he pulls out a gun and kills himself. Later, Adil is seen washing Mr. Vahu's body. Since Vahu's family wants to keep his death secret, Adil and Sita prepare for a quiet burial. At the cemetery, Sita climbs into the grave with the corpse. Adil hands her a camera and connects an oxygen pipe to the grave. Sita says she doesn't want revenge, she wants proof. Adil hesitates and asks if she's afraid of death. She doesn't answer. He seals the grave and sits nearby, waiting. Inside, Sita installs the camera and eventually falls asleep. The next morning, Adil digs her up. They check the footage. There's nothing. No screams, no supernatural events, no signs of torture. Just silence. Adil asks if Sita is satisfied now. But she says this is just the beginning. She plans to release the footage publicly, and expose Vahu's crimes too. Later, Sita appears on a talk show, and hands the producer her memory card. But when the footage plays, it's not the same. Her entire recording has been replaced. Shocked, Sita accuses the producer of tampering with the evidence. He insists he didn't touch anything. The audience turns hostile, accusing her of attacking religion and spreading blasphemy. Realizing what's happened, Sita storms out and confronts Adil. She accuses him of switching the card. In the heat of the argument, Adil says, "Our life is hell because of you. If you hadn't told Dad about that man, our parents would still be alive." Sita fires back, reminding him that he did nothing when their parents were in danger. She's always been the one protecting him. She reveals she's been making all these recordings to seek justice, for their parents, for Smile, and for all the victims. Adil lashes out, accusing her of being selfish and exploiting the old residents in the nursing home just to test her theory. Their argument ends in a bitter fallout. Later, Sita hears Mr. Vahu's voice again. She checks his room. It's empty. As she turns to leave, she hears the voice again, calling her name. She's terrified. Mrs. Nani approaches Sita and tells her that her husband is cheating on her. Sita checks, and it's true. Mr. Pandey is with Nurse Lani. After a confrontation, Sita asks the couple to sleep separately for one night. But that night, Mrs. Nani, sick and frail, accidentally locks herself in the laundry room. Her ring falls into the washing machine, and while retrieving it, the machine starts unexpectedly. Her hair gets caught, and she's tragically pulled inside, dying horribly. The next day, Mr. Pandey blames Sita for her death. To ease his pain, Sita approaches Mrs. Juvita, the one who claims she can see spirits, and begs her to help Mr. Pandey say goodbye to his wife. That night they sit around a table for a seance. Juvita tells everyone not to break the circle. As she channels Mrs. Nani's spirit, her voice changes. Mr. Pandey apologizes, but Nani demands he kill the girl who seduced him. Sita tries to stop the ritual. Suddenly Juvita starts speaking in Adil's voice, asking Sita to help Smile. Horrified, Sita calls Adil that night. He's at work and cuts the call. Meanwhile, Adil hears noises in the mortuary. He investigates and sees that a dead body is missing. Panicked, he hides in a locker, only to be haunted by visions of the corpses. Back at the nursing home, Lani confesses to Sita that she loved Mr. Pandey because no one else ever cared for her. Then Mr. Pandey appears and violently attacks Lani. Sita rescues her and locks Mr. Pandey in a room. But Mr. Heed enters and kills Lani, claiming she deserved punishment for seducing a married man. Then he turns on the TV, showing chaos in the city. Inspired by Sita's ideas, people are now digging graves and claiming to hear screams. Horrified, Sita runs to Mr. Vahu's grave to find proof that nothing happens after death, but the body is gone. Suddenly, she falls into the grave. The soil closes in. As she crawls deeper, she finds herself back in the tunnel where it all began. There, she hears Smile crying again. She sees visions. The thief stealing money, her parents waving goodbye. For the first time, Sita accepts her past and lets go of the trauma. The ghostly children appear again, asking her to help Smile. Unsure how, she remembers Juvita's words, "You must believe." Sita closes her eyes, and everything turns dark. A demonic version of Mr. Vahu appears on the ceiling. Sita grabs Smile and runs. They find a grave-like hole. Smile thanks her and tells her to jump. With no other choice, she jumps, and lands back in Mr. Vahu's grave on the day they buried him. She calls for Adil, but instead sees a snake crawl through the oxygen pipe and enter Vahu's corpse. Suddenly, Vahu rises, screaming in agony. Sita attacks him with a hammer. His face twists and contorts unnaturally. Snakes with Vahu's face emerge and begin attacking her. A terrifying demon appears and asks Vahu, "Who is your god?" Sita screams and begs for forgiveness, saying she believes now. As the grave crumbles around her, Adil appears and pulls her out just in time. Wounded and shaken, they try to escape together. But just as they walk away, a voice whispers again, "Who is your god?"